I take the digital balance. I think the connection is... Yes, we are connected. Start the broadcast now.
An Egyptian sun god monument stands at the center of the world's largest Christian institution. It has stood there for over 400 years. Before that, it stood on the spot where the first Christians were killed. It is older than Rome itself. No one knows who built it. The object is a single piece of red granite, 25 meters tall, quarried in Egypt, erected in Heliopolis, the city the Egyptians built around their sun temple, the theological center of the cult of Ra. Its shaft is smooth. No hieroglyphics, no inscriptions. Whatever it was built for, whatever name it was built under, is not written on it. The original pharaoh who commissioned it is unknown. Around 30 BCE, Augustus had it moved to Alexandria. In 37 AD, the Emperor Caligula had it transported to Rome on a ship built specifically for the purpose, the largest vessel of its kind constructed to that point. He erected it on the central spine of his new circus on Vatican Hill. The circus was later expanded and renamed. It became the Circus of Nero. The obelisk stood there, undisturbed, for approximately 1,500 years. In Egyptian cosmology, an obelisk is not a monument in the modern sense. It is a theological object. The form derives from the benben, the primordial mound, attested in the pyramid texts of Saqqara, dated approximately 2400 BCE. The benben is the thing that existed before the world existed. The point from which the creator god Atum rose at the first moment of creation. Obelisks were its architectural embodiment. The pyramidion tip was sheathed in gold or electrum, positioned to catch the first light of dawn and the last light of sunset. The Bennu bird, the Egyptian phoenix, was said to perch on the benben at the moment of creation, the moment the world began again. The standard reading, the obelisk form, represents the primordial mound of creation, the point of origin, the first solid thing, the moment before time began. The obelisk in St. Peter's Square came from Heliopolis, the city built around this theology. The city named, in Greek, the City of the Sun. The Circus of Nero on Vatican Hill was not a neutral location in the history of the early church. Tacitus, writing around 117 AD, documents Nero's persecution of Christians following the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. He describes Christians being crucified. Tertullian, writing in the 2nd or 3rd century, places Peter's death in the imperial gardens adjacent to the Circus of Nero. A 2nd century text is more specific. It states the crucifixion took place between the two turning posts of the circus spine, the spine where the obelisk stood. No contemporaneous secular source confirms Peter's specific presence in Rome or his execution in the circus. The association rests on 2nd century Christian sources and later tradition. In the 1940s, excavations beneath the floor of St. Peter's Basilica uncovered a 2nd century necropolis on Vatican Hill, adjacent to the circus footprint. Among the findings, a memorial shrine. In its graffiti, the words Petros Eni, Peter is within, dated to the late 2nd century. The bones found near the shrine were analyzed. On June 26, 1968, Pope Paul VI announced they were the remains of St. Peter. The popular version of this story says a pagan obelisk happens to stand near a Christian church. The documented version is different. The obelisk stood on the exact location where the oldest Christian sources say Peter was crucified. It was then moved 300 meters and placed at the entrance to the basilica built over his alleged tomb. The inscriptions the new pope placed on it called the move an expiation, a cleansing of impure superstition. The sun god's monument, repositioned to mark the grave of the man said to have died in its shadow. What does it mean that the object was not removed, that it was moved? In 1586, Pope Sixtus V ordered architect Domenico Fontana to move the obelisk. The operation required 900 men, 75 horses, and 40 winches. The raising took place on September 10, 1586. Fontana documented the entire process in his published account, Rome, 1590. The bronze globe that had topped the obelisk for centuries was removed. Medieval legend held it contained the ashes of Julius Caesar. Fontana opened it. He reported it contained only dust. One historian records the globe was found to be solid. Fontana records it contained dust. Both accounts are from named sources. The globe is in the Capitoline museums. Which account is accurate has not been publicly resolved. A cross was placed on top in its place, later fitted with a relic said to be from the true cross. And on the pedestal, the inscriptions remain today. Anyone can read them. The north face. Sixtus V, Pontifex Maximus, consecrated to the invincible cross, the Vatican obelisk, expiated of impure superstition in the year 1586. The south face. Sixtus V, Pontifex Maximus, transferred to the threshold of the apostles, the Vatican obelisk, dedicated in impious reverence to the gods of the heathen in the year 1586. The east face. Behold the cross of the Lord. Take flight. Hostile ranks. The Lion of the tribe of Judah has conquered. The object dedicated to Ra, to Atum, to the Benben, the primordial mound at the moment of creation, was reclassified. The inscription does not say the old meaning was erased. It says the object was expiated, cleansed, brought over. In most of the world, the Christian feast of the resurrection is called Pascha. Italian, Pasqua. Spanish, Pasqua. French, Pâques. The name derives from the Hebrew Pesach, Passover. The connection is explicit. The death and resurrection of Christ placed in the same season as the Exodus. The date was fixed by the First Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, the first Sunday after the first full moon following the vernal equinox, calculated independently of the Jewish calendar. The feast is called Pascha in Greek, in Latin, and in nearly every language on earth. In English and German, it is called something else. Around 725 AD, an English monk named Bede wrote a treatise on the calculation of time. In chapter 15, he listed the old Anglo-Saxon months and their names. The month corresponding to approximately April, he wrote, was called Eosturmanath. He explained that it had been named after a goddess called Eostre, in whose honor feasts were celebrated in that month. He wrote, "Now they designate that Paschal season by its name, calling the joys of the new rite by the time-honored name of the old observance. That is the only surviving reference to the goddess Eostre in any ancient document. No shrine, no altar, no other text." The standard philological view, the English word Easter most likely derives from the Proto-Germanic root ostron, meaning dawn, east, rising sun, cognate with Latin aurora, Greek eos, Vedic ushas. Whether Eostre was a genuine goddess or Bede's inference from the month name is debated. Most scholars accept both possibilities as unresolved. The rest of the Christian world always called it Pascha. In the 19th century, a Free Church of Scotland minister named Alexander Hislop published a pamphlet, later expanded into a book titled The Two Babylons. His argument: the Catholic Church was a continuation of Babylonian paganism in disguise. He linked the English word Easter directly to the Assyrian goddess Ishtar, whose name had just appeared on newly excavated Assyrian monuments in 1851. He argued that Easter eggs and Easter traditions were Ishtar's fertility symbols, smuggled into Christianity. This is the version that circulates today. Hislop's primary evidence was phonetic resemblance between Easter and Ishtar, as transliterated into English in the 1850s. No ancient text connects the Christian Pascha celebration to Ishtar worship. What philologists actually document. Ishtar is a Semitic name from an unrelated linguistic family. Nothing to do with the Germanic Ostron root from which Easter derives. The connection works only as an accident of English transliteration in the 19th century. The Richard Dawkins Foundation for Reason and Science published the Ishtar Easter claim. They later retracted it. The claim Hislop built, and that has circulated for over 150 years, rests on a phonetic resemblance between two words from two unrelated language families, noticed at a moment when both were being written in English for the first time. Hislop's Babylon connection does not survive contact with the philological record. What Bede's single line from 725 AD actually gives us: a goddess whose existence cannot be confirmed by any other source, and a month name that became the English word for the Christian feast of the resurrection. A monument built for the sun god of Heliopolis, moved to Rome by a Caesar, standing on the spine of the circus where the first pope was said to have been killed, relocated by another pope, labeled expiated, topped with a cross. Now marking the square where hundreds of thousands gather each year for a feast whose name, in English, traces through a single line of a monk's writing to a goddess no other document in the world records. The inscriptions on the pedestal say, the old meaning was cleansed, expelled. How much of what humans call sacred is the old thing, wearing a new inscription?
This has been the Digital Madman. If you enjoyed this, please share it, subscribe, and smash the like button so we can get the algorithm to pick it up. Thank you, and I will speak with you next time.